trivia last time, so Zach and I had to watch something. Zach, why don't you go first and tell us what you watch?
Okay, I watched The Invisible Man, the last year version, not the older one, from 2020, directed by Leigh Whanell, and starring everybody's favorite actress, Elisabeth Moss. This was in Adam's top 10, although, gosh, now I don't know if it even makes his top 10 after all these recent additions to his list. And Todd is a fan of the movie, too. Moss plays Cecilia, who at the beginning of the movie runs away from an abusive relationship. Her boyfriend is kind of this Elon Musk type, elusive tech genius in Silicon Valley, but who's also pathological and aggressive and mean. And so she runs away and she flees and stays at her friend's house, played by Aldous Hodge. And she finds out later that her boyfriend actually killed himself. But she is convinced that all is not what it seems, and that he has actually developed this crazy plot to be invisible and take revenge on her for leaving him. Elisabeth Moss is the best thing about this movie. She's great in everything she does. Unfortunately, the rest of the movie I don't think holds up particularly well. I really have two issues with the movie. One is that I wish that the movie had been more, how should I say, ambiguous about the character's subjectivity. There is never a doubt that Elisabeth Moss is right and everybody else is wrong. And so for the first hour of this movie, it does that kind of quasi-Hitchcock thing where, she's the only person who knows what's going on and everybody's like, oh, she's crazy. She couldn't be right. No, she's right. So it's just an idiot plot for the first hour of this movie. And it's like her just convincing people, no, this guy actually is coming back and this thing is really happening. And everyone's like, that couldn't be the case. I get pretty bored of that. I wish instead the movie had been more like, well, maybe she's crazy, but maybe she's not. I don't know. The movie's not called, Crazy Woman Tries to Convince Other People. It's called The Invisible Man for a reason. The other thing I didn't like about it was in the second half of the movie, this character, her boyfriend, played by Oliver Jackson Cohen, basically turns into a cyborg. And not only is he this millionaire Elon Musk tech genius who lives on the ocean side and is improbably handsome, looks like he could have been cast in 50 Shades of Grey, but he is also a killing machine. Maybe he was trained by Bob Odenkirk in Nobody. I don't know. Maybe he was a protege or something. But somehow he also is able to just kick ass and is really just this maniacal genius who cannot be defeated. So that was really improbable too. This movie also is really long, and it has this director was in love with this twist ending that occurs in the last 15 minutes that is really strained. And it's like, dude, just end your movie at the hour and a half point. We don't need the rest of this exposition. It's not very clever. It's not as clever as you think it is. Again, Elisabeth Moss, kind of like her performance in Shirley. Best thing about the movie, I appreciate that this movie was not starring Johnny Depp and it's not in the dark cinematic universe or whatever. And it actually does have a sort of thoughtful lens and perspective about relationships. And it is more grounded in reality, at least for the first part of the movie. But ultimately, I have to give it thumbs down because it doesn't, I don't think it takes a lot of risks and it just kind of gets stupid as it goes along. So 2.5 stars, but, not a terrible watch. And, I don't know what Adam saw in it, but it's not a 4-star movie for me by any means.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that long, but I don't. It's my number 60 of the year. I mean, I'm not in love with the movie either, but like what I really loved about the movie was the design of the Invisible Man. I thought that alone should have gotten it nominated for Best Visual Effects. I thought it was like the level of like Terminator 2 kind of style of a villain that I mean I loved. And yeah, obviously Elisabeth Moss is great, but yeah, I mean I know Adam adored the movie, but I mean I just thought it was a really entertaining movie for 2 hours. But okay.
And wasn't it shortlisted for visual effects?
Yeah, and it should have gotten all the way through, but
and there's definitely like an Ex Machina vibe to it. And it does some creative things, and I like when the movie I like movies where the character's trying to explain to everybody that, maybe I'm not crazy after all, but it just gets a little redundant. It's like the movie needed to skip forward 3 beats in the screenplay to get to a point that was more compelling and interesting. So I don't know. It needed a second draft or something like that, but not entirely terrible.
All right. Well, the movie I had to watch for trivia is a movie that both Todd and Zach love. And I loved it too. It is the 2015 film Welcome to Me, starring Kristen Wigg and James Marsden and Linda Cardellini, Joan Cusack. Oh, who else is in this? Jennifer Jason Leigh is in this. Tim Robbins, Wes Bentley, Alan Tudyk. I mean, it's got a huge cast for being such a small movie. But this movie was just wild and bizarre and different than almost anything else I'd ever seen. It is like Truman Show meets Network, kinda.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, you could that's kind of where I fell with it. You've got the main character, Alice Klieg, played by Kristen Wigg, who is got some borderline personality disorder, and she wins the lottery and decides to use her money to go to the local public access television station and buy 150 or no, what was it? Yeah, 100 episodes of her own show where she would talk about herself. And it was going to be called Welcome to Me. And it is just her like working out her own personal problems and demons live on air for everyone else to hear. It is bizarre. She wants to ride out on a swan. Okay. And then you've got Linda Cardellini, who's her best friend. You've got James Marsden, who's the money hungry studio exec who realizes that he's got a cash cow in front of him that he can milk for as much as he can. Wes Bentley, who's slowly falling in love with her, who's the brother of James Marsden. You've got Joan Cusack, the producer, who has to try and figure out how to make this show work. It is bizarre. And then you have Tim Robbins, her therapist, who is just trying to figure out what's going on. It is a crazy look into some mental illness, but also at the same time just so much fun and ridiculous. I think this came up a couple weeks ago, or maybe a couple months ago now. Todd, I think, remind me if I'm wrong, but I think this was on your like highest war of the decade list.
Yeah, this was my choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I totally agree, because nobody other than Kristen Wigg could pull this off. It is a total like Kristen Wigg special, and 3.5 stars. This movie's insane.
Well, Shira Piven is a unique character. She is married to Adam McKay and the older sister of Jeremy Piven. So I mean, she's got some serious comedy in her veins, and very weird comedy. I mean, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of 2015, and obviously Kristen Wigg. She's my best actress winner. One of the weirder, best performances I've ever seen.
It's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. And and then there's the film student who's watching it and like studying it. It's like, what a great call and diversity for the reenactment. Why did you make that bold choice? I don't know. She was just the prettiest that day. I mean, it's so just so like this was. I'd be surprised if this wasn't made as just a Kristen Wigg like vehicle, and I don't think it was, because it was just like this random indie movie that she got. But I can't imagine anybody else filling that role.
Yeah, it's a classic, and it's cult for sure. It's the kind of movie where like you're watching and people walk into the room and they're like, "What is this?" And those are the best kind of movies. I love just the gradual level of frustration that like Joan Cusack and all the production assistants, as the movie goes along, like I think that everybody can associate with those feelings a lot, and just their faces and their reactions are priceless.
Tim Robbins is one of my favorites in it too, because he's just level-headed the whole time and is like the voice of the audience in this. It's like, why are you doing this? It's like, I'm not letting you in. Is it because I put you on the show without asking? Yes, it is. I mean, it was, yeah, I love it. It was great. It was great.
I think there could have been a couple other actors. I think Aubrey Plaza could have done it, and Charlene Yee could have done it. But it's hard. Kristen Wigg does an amazing job of pulling it off, though.